Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the Sapphero SO2101S, homage to a Rolex Sky-Dweller. Well, maybe not an homage, but highly inspired by a Sky-Dweller. Let's start out with the wrist check. I'm wearing a Chensky CX498, homage to an AP Royal Oak. And Grogo is wearing my Skami 9232, homage to a Tag Heuer Octavia. Grogu said that Princess Leia found out from spies that Moff Gideon was taxing non-Republic systems to raise funds to build a new Death Star. She said that the two inevitable things in the galaxy are Death Stars and taxes. Alright, let's take a look at the watch. It came in this box with this protective foam, instructions, and here it is. This is the second Sapphero I've had on my channel. The first one was a GMT with a Batman bezel, but that is where the similarities to the GMT Master 2 ended, and it seemed to be a fairly unique design, and I would not call it an homage. This one, however, is a bit more derivative and bears a strong resemblance to the Rolex Sky-Dweller, with some noticeable differences and none of the Sky-Dweller's complications. Thankfully, Sapphero has accepted the fact that their $50 watch is not capable of a perpetual calendar and is not trying to mimic one. I was looking at another brand, Sky-Dweller Homage, and it had an orange month marker at one of the indexes. But when I looked at the AliExpress ad, it said it was for display purposes only. No thank you. I don't want a fake month dot any more than I want fake pushers and subdials. The watch is 41.5 millimeters at the bezel, 49.5 millimeters lug to lug with inverted end links. It's 12 millimeters thick if you don't count the Cyclops. Has a 22 millimeter lug width and weighs 127 grams with two links removed. The fluted bezel has smooth areas at the even number positions. See, smooth. And the blue dial has a nice sunburst effect. It has the Sapphero name and logo at the top, and both the logo and the name are lumed. I remember the other Sapphero, the logo lume was disappointing, so hopefully this one is better. It has lumed applied indices, and then it has these little squares next to the index. And this on the Sky-Dweller is used to indicate the month, but here's just a little extra piece of lume they put on the dial. The inner dial is a military time ring for those who can't add 12 in their head. On the Rolex, this is a rotating 24-hour indicator that is off-centered. Thankfully, Sapphero gave us something usable and did not mimic the position or numbering of the Sky-Dweller. It has skeleton hands that have lume tips, but no lume on the thin second hand. The second hand appears to hit all the marks pretty good. It says Japan movement on the bottom, and this is indeed a Miyota 2115 movement, which is nice to see. Some people think, who cares about what quartz movement a watch has? Well, I've reviewed many a cheap quartz that has horribly loose crown action that makes it tedious chore to set your watch accurately. Miyota gives me the confidence to know that won't happen. The date is at the 15 of the inner dial, and there's a Cyclops that doesn't do a huge lot of magnification, just looks like maybe 1.5. The crystal is mineral glass. You would think that a company named Sapphero would use sapphire, but that is not the case. That's the case of all the watches I've seen of Sapphero. It has an unsigned crown, and that is a push-pull, providing 100 meters of water resistance. The case is all polished, and Sapphero claims it is stainless steel. I'm not going to do a scratch test to find out, so I'm just going to take their word for it. The case back is a screw down with the Sapphero name and logo. This screw down helps keep the 100 meters water resistance. The Jubilee style bracelet is quite nice with fully articulating polished center links. Here, let me show you one of the links, and I can show you that it's fully articulating, so they're not all fixed. It does have hollow end links, but they fit the legs nice. There's no noticeable movement or rattle. And the sizing links do have push pins and not screw down pins, but they come out easy and stay in. Unfortunately, it has this press clasp. I'm not so concerned about being pressed. It's just the fact that it has no micro adjust, which is very disappointing. These are the same clasp that they put on Benyars, and I was assuming that Sapphero was going to be a step above a Benyar, but so this clasp is not very welcome. At least with the small links of a Jubilee bracelet, the fit isn't, the micro adjust isn't quite as important, and you will get a decent fit. These are no smaller than half links on an oyster style bracelet if you have a butterfly clasp. So you'll get a good fit. It would have been nice if it had a real clasp though. They also offer this watch on a rubber strap if you want the Oyster Flex look, and it shaves $3 off the price. But even with a subpar clasp, I still recommend the bracelet over a rubber strap. I mean, you can buy a rubber strap wherever you want, but getting a fitted bracelet is another matter. Beware if you think you can just buy another clasp from AliExpress. The end links where the clasp is attached are a bit smaller than the rest of the bracelet. These end links here are 17 millimeters, but the bracelet is 19 millimeters. So if you do put a clasp on, if you put a 17 millimeter clasp, if you can find one, you'll not be able to fold it over the bracelet though if you use any of the other micro adjust other than the end. I just happen to have an 18 millimeter clasp like this, and I tried to put it on it, and once again, if you didn't put it in the very last hole of the micro adjust, then you couldn't close the clasp because it wouldn't go over the 19 millimeter bracelet. So if you want to be able to use more than one micro adjust, you'll have to have at least a 19 millimeter clasp. Good luck finding one. So you'll more than likely have to get a 20 millimeter. Well, if you have a 20 millimeter clasp, that's going to leave 3 millimeters of gap when you attach it to the bracelet, which is going to cause quite a bit of rattle. So you would have to probably get some tiny little washers to close the gap. And I'm not sure if that's just going to be worth the effort on this $50 watch. But you are more than willing to try if you think you can do it. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. Wears nice and flat. I had to remove 2 links to fit this. So if you have a wrist much bigger than 8, you're not going to be able to wear this on this bracelet unless you do change the clasp. So you might be forced to put a bigger clasp on it anyway if your wrist is really big. Otherwise, you'll have to just get it on the rubber strap instead. And here's the watch on a vintage leather strap. I think that looks really nice. I really love a blue watch on vintage leather. And I just wanted to show you too, while I was changing straps, that these have some pretty healthy spring bars. They're pretty thick, so that's a plus. And here's the watch on a blue NATO. Once again, I think this watch looks good on just about anything. Here we are in the Lume room. I remember that the last Sapphero wasn't awful, except for that Sapphero logo at the 12 o'clock. So I have some pretty good hope for this one. As we speed up the time, we yet again see decent but not spectacular Lume, except for that Sapphero logo that fades almost instantly, as well as those little squares where the month markers would be. But look at that hour hand. Too bad the minute hand isn't as good, but at least the minute hand is slightly better than the indexes. What do I like about this watch? Well, I like this nice blue dial with the sunburst effect. It's just sharp. I like this Jubilee bracelet. It's very well made, very comfortable, fully articulating. And I like the fact that it has a Japanese Miyota movement and not a Chinese one with really loose crown action. And I like the fact that the second hand hits all the marks. And I like the fact that they used a military time indicator for the subdial and didn't put 1 through 24 like a real Sky-Dweller, because that would have made it useless. What are my gripes and groans? Simple clasp with no micro adjust. And also the fact that they made it very difficult to change clasp on it by making this odd sized end link here. And also, when your name is Sapphero, you should probably have a sapphire crystal. I know they don't advertise it as a sapphire crystal. They're not lying. It's just the name kind of implies it. Do I recommend this watch? Yes. It's a fun watch that looks great, has a reliable Miyota movement, and a nice Jubilee bracelet. Yeah, the clasp blows, but that small Jubilee links are no larger than half links, so you'll still get a decent, if not perfect fit. So if you think this watch looks interesting, I recommend to go out and buy it. Well, thank you for watching my review of the Sapphero SO2101S, and I'll be back with another review or unboxing. Bye.